rounds out to about $10 billion.
Because I figured out which neighborhoods were better.
That's kind of the deal, right? Hey, you definitely don't want your kid going out in some of the outfits that they smell. That's for sure.
It's freaking horrible.
Give it a shot, see what happens. Sorry.
Yeah.
I might switch halfway through and see how I feel. No, for some reason,
it's weird not to have them on, to be honest with you.
For some reason, I don't know. I just feel comfortable having it right in my head. But
yeah.
You're probably right to the point now, as long as we're making sure we're right in front of the mics where we're supposed to be.
Right.
So.
Right. We're good enough. We can get away with without the headsets.
It'll be fine.
We're professionals.
That's what we're going to tell everybody anyway.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Well, what else you gonna do? Hey, here, cheers to fake it till you make it. That's not so bad, buddy. I like it. Not to mention, fake it until we can afford to block all the pop-up ads on every fucking website these days. It's killing me, man.
Well, when we get done with this episode, I'm gonna actually help you on your computer a little bit. So
are you?
Fucking not do what keeps happening here.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what keeps happening here, but
your
all right.
browser keeps fucking up my browser.
That sounds like John problem. But
no, it's an us problem.
It's an ISOP podcast problem. All right, that's fair enough, buddy.
All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Ice Shower After Work podcast. Jason is here with me as always, and we are in the East Side Job Trailer. I've made a lot of trips this time. I think I'm catching up from my surgery.
I believe as of today, you're caught up. I think we're square, buddy. Next time we'll have to be recording from the West Side Job Trailer. John definitely did his part in coming here after the times that I was going there during his recovery. No, I think we're square, buddy. I think we're there.
You made it a point to actually.
I did. Yeah, I'm not proud.
Come over to my place. I was all gibbed up, laid up.
Yeah. We had to do what we had to do, buddy. It's okay. But yeah, no, I'm going to say after this weekend we're square, pal. We're square. So. Happy Halloween, buddy.
Happy Halloween. It is Halloween. And it lands on a Thursday.
And it lands on Thursday, yeah. So happy Halloween, buddy. John's looking good as a skeleton here. We're going to put up all the pictures on socials, obviously. I'm in my favorite Chewbacca outfit, my onesie, which is basically a gigantic pajama. We're going to see if I melt during the recording of this episode.
That thing looks way more comfortable than this fucking skeleton costume.
I'm sure it is. That's built for my frame, and I was skinnier the last time I wore that.
Yeah, now, Jason was good enough to give me a costume for this episode because I don't actually own one.
As I say, though,
I'm
man,
a fucking adult.
You look pretty ripped, though. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot.
This thing squeezes you in all the wrong places. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, if you're going out in public, I was reasonably fit the last time I wore that. Actually, a good story about that outfit. So,
I'm not going to regret hearing this.
No, you're not going to regret hearing this. No. A number of years back, Doug, actually, who was on one of our episodes, our good buddy Doug, and some of his family, his missus, my missus, and I, we went to New Orleans for Halloween.
Ooh.
4 days, or 4 nights we were there. Different outfit every night. That was one of the outfits.
That's got to be a party down there during Halloween.
Man, did we have a good time. So
Very
we're gonna get into some of that. I'll tell you some of the full stories about it later on here, once we get into some facts and figures. And I know... everybody listening, happy Halloween to you, but you might be asking yourself right now, how can you possibly have a Halloween episode and make it about working in the trades? I'll be honest with you, we're not sure either, but here we go.
We're going to fucking try.
We might find something as we go. So as you just said a bit ago, buddy, you're an adult, so you don't really have Halloween costumes. I only have these ones because of that trip I just talked about, which I'll give you some fun stories about that a little later on. But come on, man. You get to walk around, get some exercise, except for... one thing that I'm going to mention later about weather. It's usually a fairly nice time of year. Man, what's not to like about Halloween?
I mean, when you're a kid, yeah, sure, you get to walk around and ask for free fucking candy.
Yeah.
But as an adult with kids?
Right.
I mean, Jesus.
Now, you have grown kids now, so that's different, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, when your kids were little, you took them out Halloween.
Oh, yeah, absolutely I did.
Right? So
dressed up, the whole shebang.
Okay. Yeah. Now, again, I know it's adding to the crazy obesity epidemic in the United States. It's going to be part of what we talk about today.
Right.
But again, free candy for kids, and they get out and walk around and have some laughs and feel good about their costumes most of the time. That's where I'm going to start, though, actually, buddy.
Okay.
History of Halloween. What do you know about the actual history of
Halloween? From what I understand is it kind of, it depends on who you talk to. A lot of people say that the Irish started it. A lot of people say that absolutely not. It is actually a Mexican or Latin American tradition, the Day of the Dead.
Yep.
I believe, if I got it right, I think it was commercialized by the church as All Saints Day, All Hallows Eve.
As we know it, it's right around the 1950s, give or take.
Right.
Right. Now, when you think about that, that says a lot because that means pre-Second World War.
Yep.
I mean, I know that's a long time ago now, but in our span of head, that's not that long ago that it's been the commercialized holiday that it is now.
Yep.
Right. So, but you're right. Yeah. All Hallows Eve. And my Gaelic sucks like so bad, but I think it's pronounced Samhain is what you just referred to as the Day of the Dead. So the Irish had considered that from the research I did. I'm not an Irish historian, folks. I'd have to preface everything now because our Canadian correspondent fact checker is just going to call me out and everything going forward. But that was when what they called the veil between the world of the living and the dead was the thinnest.
Right.
Right. So, there's so many things here that we went through. It went from going up to neighbors' homes and praying for their passed on family and souls and friends.
Yep.
And in return, they would give you what they called soul cakes. They were like just a little sweet treat. You know what I mean?
Right.
That sounds the most accurate historically to me because that seems quite a bit like dressing up to go get treats from your local homes.
Yep.
With obviously not the praying, not the religious aspect and all that, right?
Yep.
But yes, there was certainly some stuff from Latin America that seemed to fall into play quite a bit as well. There's a fun historical fact about this because it used to be you would dress up in what was called mumming. So
mumming.
You familiar with mumming?
Yeah.
I never actually saw this when I was a kid, and this is, again, why I kind of believe that the Irish thing really factors in a lot here, because where I'm from, it's a lot of Scotch-Irish people, like the majority of. I remember my parents and uncles and aunts and friends talking about when they used to have mummers, but for some reason, that was around Christmas time where you're from. You would dress up, you would cover your face, you would disguise your voice, and you would go door to door to parties, to people's... and they would have to offer you food and drinks and all that until they could figure out who you were.
Right.
That was what the story was. I never actually saw anybody do it when I was a kid. I think that the tradition had faded by then.
Yeah, that was long gone by the time I came around.
But I also kind of wish that tradition would come back because, as you said a minute ago, it's Halloween is for kids, right?
Right.
But now, recently, they have like the adult one where you pack up a cooler with like little shots of Fireball, little shots of Jack, or a few beers, and as you're going around the neighborhood, you drag that along, and the adults, hey, you offer them a little, here, have a little Fireball.
Right.
Have a little this, like...
Dude, I'll say it in the neighborhood, the town that I live in, it's great. There's a couple of different neighborhoods that do it, but yeah, you take your kids around, and the adults have their bonfires running in a little fire pit on their driveways. They have a table sitting there. They'll mix you a drink if you want one. It's usually some Fireball hot chocolate deal, which if you've never had hot chocolate with some Fireball in it, it actually tastes really good and it warms you right up.
That actually does sound pretty good. I do plan to be home this year for Halloween. Usually it used to be hunting, and then last couple I was on the road, but that happens. We talked about working on the road. Sometimes it just affects some of your things you want to be doing.
Right.
I'm going to try that, I think, this year. I'm going to put the fire pit out front. I'm going to have something I can offer the people coming by, whether it's a hot chocolate or a cup of coffee or a tea or something. I'll get some to-go cups. I want to see if it just add to the friendliness of the neighborhood while the people bring their kids around. I think it'd help. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And again, I'm a grown-up, but I like Halloween. I like having the kids come by. I love all their little outfits they wear. They're all so excited. It's the highest grossing commercial holiday after Christmas.
It really is. It really is. People spend a lot of money on Halloween.
I got some facts and figures. What did you have?
I didn't actually look up that part. Okay. I was more interested in the origins. Okay,
good. I'm going to lean on you for the origin stuff. So what I found was about 65% of consumers celebrate Halloween in some way or another.
65%, you said?
Right. So it's not a religious-based holiday, right? But there are beliefs in religions that are against the idea of the holiday. So it's only 65% of consumers are actually holiday spenders. for Halloween, right?
Gotcha.
So as of 2022, the average estimated spending per person. So if you had multiple people in your household, multiply this, it's per person spending, right?
Okay.
So as an example, let's say mom, dad, 2 kids.
Okay.
This would be 4 of that number. Each individual in the household is how they broke it down.
Oh, sure. Okay.
The average was $102.74, which, just to give you an idea, rounds out to about $10 billion. Now, you wouldn't think, right?
Oh my God.
Obviously,
that is
it's
a lot.
right. Obviously, it's second to Christmas because everybody buys Christmas. Well, no, everyone who celebrates Christmas probably buys Christmas, right? That's a big and Christmas present spending. Even though we're going to talk about the cost of candy, folks, I do have obviously a bowl of candy here. We wouldn't celebrate Halloween without it,
Right.
But the cost of buying mini candy bars or whatever it is, it's never going to equal out to what people spend on gifts for each other for Christmas.
Right.
So it's a second, but it's a distant second.
I wonder if that's because of just the wide range of what do I want to say?
Well, there's so many parts to it.
Wide range of cultures that we have in the United States.
Yeah.
And some do and some don't.
Right.
But almost all of them celebrate Halloween in some fashion.
Right. They said there are a couple, and we won't call out any specific beliefs or religions, but there are a few out there who are against the idea just because of for some people, it was the covering of your face.
Yeah.
Was a problem. For other people, it was what they considered sort of begging door to door.
Yeah.
They were against it, like, personally because of that. So there was a few factors where, based on your religion and your beliefs, it's uncelebrated. But
Right.
then there's a lot of people who, the same way they'll buy Christmas presents, who aren't Catholics or Christians, right?
Right.
People, it's a commercialized fun holiday for kids. People are going to let it slide, right?
It is.
Yeah. So
But it's not a Hallmark holiday.
no, it's not a Hallmark holiday. Now, that is something I did
God.
found, though. So remember we said it kind of morphed into what it is now, right around the 50s?
Right.
Prior to that, it was fairly common to send someone a card in the same way that you used to. They said some people would go and they'd come to your house and they'd pray for your loved ones who have passed on, and they'd give you a treat of some kind, right? Like a soul cake. People would also send almost like remembrance cards, Halloween style, not black hats and all that shit, right?
Right.
But it was a tradition for quite a while.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. So,
Fucking card makers.
well, they're gonna get their money and claws into everything, right? So, and obviously, as we've mentioned so many times here, the pandemic causing problems. That was a blip in the Halloween spending. It went as low as an average of $48.48 that year because so many less people were out and about going door to door.
Right.
So that was 2021. That was the low point.
Right.
And it's gradually picked way back up since then. Right. So as an example, buddy, I bought us a group of mini treats today. I got the ones I like. We're going to talk about our favorites here in a little while, but a bag of 75 pieces was $24.
Yeah. We're going all out this year. We've decided to invest. We're one of the high spenders. We're handing out full-size candy bars.
You were saying, so that's
And
good. Flex a little.
We've got like 5 boxes of full-size candy bars, and I think they were $25 a piece.
Oh, right. Yeah. Flex on your neighbors, buddy. Like, for sure. Definitely flex on your neighbors, right? Yeah.
But we have seen a huge decline in trick-or-treaters over the past several years.
How big a decline?
Pretty big. I mean, the first year that we lived in the house, it was 2021. We had, oh God, I'm going to say a couple hundred kids come by. And in recent years, like last year, I think we had maybe 30.
That is low.
So if we have that kind of a year again this year, they're all getting a lot of fucking candy because I ain't keeping it in my house.
Well, see, I was going to talk about this later, but let's bring this up real quick now, man. That's the issue, right? So, as I said, I bought a bag of 75. I just wanted to have something so we'd have them on the counter. We're recording for Halloween here.
Right.
So, and I'm definitely going to have one later. You hear some wrappers crinkling and stuff, folks. I'm not proud. I like a little Halloween mini size. But yeah, we get about 50 a year.
Yeah.
Right? It varies up and down a little time. But again, I haven't been here for that many years. This will be our 5th Halloween in this house this year. And it's been pretty steady at about that level, right? Yeah. Where we were before was a townhome setup, and mostly everybody was pretty negative about it. They turned off all their lights. I think there was us and 2 other people that tried for a few years to give out candy.
Really?
They weren't sending kids down
a dark alley.
A dark, and it's not an alley, but like a darkened street with a few lights up. Like parents are like, no, we'll go over here. There's a bunch of houses lit up and kids over there. Like, we'll just do that, right?
Right.
But so that is one of the big things. I like that you're flexing on your neighbors, though, man. That's good.
I mean, why not?
Oh, right. Especially if it's only 30 kids, right? Yeah. So, but before I get off point there, my point being, if we get 50 kids, I'll eat a few of these treats here as we go over the next couple weeks. This bag will probably never last. I'll be honest with myself, right? I'll end up getting another one. This would basically feed every kid that we see to get a treat or two. And then you don't want to be stuck with a bag full of treats.
No, you don't. I end up taking a lot of the stuff to work.
My wife every year tries to get me to do that. And every year I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm definitely going to do that. And then I end up kind of just snacking away at them over the next week, which is not good.
Yeah. No, I think last year I took a huge bag. I took one of those gallon size freezer bags. Just plumb stuff full. I freaking threw it on the table at the break table, just like here.
Yeah, that's your problem now. Yeah, it is going to be my plan if we're left over this year because I spend so many time stopping at the shop for stuff. It'll be easier just to go in and plop it on the desk of somebody and go, here, you just take care of all that. That's not my problem anymore. Right. Yeah, I remember growing up, man, the street that I lived on, just like a straight kind of rural-ish road, we had kids of varying ages over the years. It was sort of a family neighborhood, but there wasn't a ton of kids. So a lot of families then gave away full-size chocolate bars, full-size bags of chips, or a few of the little ones, like full cans of pop. Like back in the day, it wasn't a lot of the little tiny candies. You came along with a lot of like regular full-size snacks. Lots of people still did that, right? Yeah. But many, many people did that just like neighborhood flex. Like, no, we're going to have full-size Snickers this year. Like, we're giving cans of Coke this year.
Right.
It would be perfect these days for the flex because you can get the little mini cans now. They didn't have those back when I was a kid.
Right.
That'd be perfect, right? Hand those out. Like, okay, you're letting your kids have sugar, so here, have a sugar water on me. Like, enjoy yourself. Fucking go ahead.
Did you, back in the day, do you remember getting homemade treats?
Sometimes you get a homemade treat. Yeah.
Dude, the fucking caramel popcorn balls. Oh, my God.
I never remember getting one of those. You always got a few people that gave you like a caramel apple, which that was just that was just tearing out teeth and tearing out fillings.
But
like,
they were so good.
Yeah, I never actually tore out a filling, but and there was always like that talk way back, like, oh, check them for razor blades, check them for drugs. I realized as an adult, okay, some psycho was putting razor blades in maybe, but how much did that really happen? And then now I realize nobody was putting drugs in that for free. Like, they weren't giving kids free drugs. Like, that was crazy talk, right? That was just kids parents trying to scare their kids.
Drugs were expensive.
Yeah, drugs. They weren't putting free drugs in kids' stuff. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, not even for a laugh.
There is some psychos out there that have done it, and I'm sure because they're evil humans, they need to be fucking castrated and shot. But whatever.
There's definitely those people out there. That does suck. I do remember on the flex conversation here. Up the street from me, maybe 5 houses on the opposite side of the street, there was a kid that I didn't really get along with all that well. But that kid's father was like a bigwig with McDonald's.
Yeah.
So much so that I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before. I don't think so. He had a full life-size replica of what would have been Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Built out of Legos in their home.
Oh my God.
They had like lacquered it and urethane it, so it was never coming apart. Like, they had sealed it, but a full size one looked just like him. It was fucking weird. But that was something he had as a bigwig. He's like, I want that, put that in my house, and all
That's
this.
Psycho.
He always had books of 5 or 10 free Happy Meals, and that's what everybody made sure they hit that house once or twice if you could, right? Like, not a fry, not a burger. Back then,
the whole Happy Meal.
Back then, you could get a Happy Meal for like $3.99 or $2.99. Like, it was cheap back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just giving out books of those. That was always a huge score. And the neighbors, I'm sure, either were happy because, hey, man, that guy just got my kid a bunch of trips to McDonald's when I don't have to pay for, but also a little bit of, hey, man, fuck that guy. Like, I'm going to have fun-sized Snickers, and this guy's fucking flexing on the neighborhood. Like,
well, not only that, like, he was doing it for a very specific reason. He knows that the fact that he gives those out, they're buying other shit when they're there.
The parents probably are going to get somebody, right? Yeah. Like, they knew what they were doing, right? But it was fun. It was always a fun flex when you went up there, like, 5 McDonald's meals, like, wicked. Back in the day, man, was it, maybe it's different in the States, I don't know. Was it a pillowcase you took when you walked around?
Anything that you had.
Anything that
it did not fucking matter.
Okay.
Nope, it did not matter. Pillowcases, grocery bags, little buckets,
Oh, yeah, you always had the little Halloween jack-o'-lantern orange and black bucket. Yeah, we had some people were carrying those too, right?
The little kids are carrying those because they don't get too heavy.
Right.
And frankly, I mean, let's face it, 5-year-old don't need that much fucking candy in their life.
Well, that's a fact, buddy. That's a fact.
I remember growing up, we never did this trunk or treat bullshit that's out there now. What the fuck is that?
I like it, but keep going.
No, not like if you're going to just go to an area where everybody has the back end of their cars, in a circle and their trunks open, one, that's fucking creepy. Two, that's not fucking trick or treating. Come on. Oh, it's so safe. Motherfucker, you're there with your kids. Defend your kids. You'll be all right. Go through a neighborhood.
If you were living in a rural-ish area where the houses weren't back to back to back to back, I
fucking drive.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, right? I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Go to the local park or something, have a trunk. Or I kind of get it.
That's the no, I don't fucking believe it. It work for your shit. Like,
well, fair enough. Work for your shit. I'm going to shout out a guy who works for me named Ed. Ed A. You know who you are, buddy. Ed is a proponent of going to a completely different neighborhood to take his kids trick-or-treating. So much so that the first year I lived in this house, I was handing out candy, and I heard from the street something, I'm paraphrasing here, something along the effects of, oh yeah, another damn Canadian living here in the States. Looked up, I'm like, who's this fucking clown? Well, turned out Ed brings his kids with his wife to my neighborhood and trick-or-treats, and he has subsequently done so in subsequent years, right? Usually makes a point to come up to the door for that one. I give him credit. Him and his missus always dress up in conjunction with the kids.
Right.
It was like a hunter and a doe one year, and they make good costumes, not sucky costumes. They were dressed up as the Incredibles with the kids as the Incredibles one year. It was really cute. Like they actually go all out. They go with the kids. They have fun, right? And he does seem to usually leave a crumpled up, empty alcohol beer can or something on the hood of my truck. Almost
just
every
for
year.
sure.
Yeah. When I come home and see it there, I'm like, okay, that was definitely him. Like so, for sure. But I know there's a lot of that goes on. People going to a different neighborhood because it's better.
I always did.
It's more.
Yeah. I took the kids always to a different neighborhood because I figured out which neighborhoods were better.
That's kind of the deal, right? It's that factoring in of, okay, houses back to back. You can get way more houses in a few block radius, like I'm sure. But yeah, it's that part of it I realize is fairly common now.
Never take my kids to a super high-end neighborhood.
No.
The gated.
None of that stuff.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Those people are fucking cheap. I'm sorry.
Lights out all over the place.
Yeah.
Closed blinds. Fuck those people like that.
Exactly. More along the lines of very mid-collar or mid-level blue-collar-ish neighborhoods. The kids always had a good time. Everybody was out.
Right.
Everybody's having a good time. The decorations are up, stuff like that. When I was growing up, though, I learned a hack, which come to find out was rather dangerous. But as we know, Halloween is always around hunting season.
Yep.
I figured out as a 12-year-old that if I went and happened to go through the motel in town and knock on the motel doors, I would get money, not candy. I walked away with $150 one year, and it was fan-fucking-tastic. Because all the hunters are there. It's late at night. They're drinking. They're going to give you money. Don't do that for love of fucking God. That is so dangerous now.
That's quite a bit. So a few more quick facts here, man, and we'll get into some other stuff. So just some little interesting things. It's only about 50% of people that have a jack-o'-lantern.
Only 50%?
They carve their own. A lot of other people buy the fancy blow-up.
Yeah.
Right? Which, by the way, shout out to whoever it was in local neighborhoods here, okay?
Really?
Not last Halloween, but the one prior. They had taken all of their old blow-up Halloween decorations that no longer worked, or went somewhere and bought ones that didn't work, and then got one little of the Grogu from the Mandalorian, who was holding a little lightsaber. That was the only one lit up, as if he had struck everybody else down. It was really clever. Whoever thought of that, I'm like, that's genius.
Good to you.
Yeah, if you're listening someday, shout out to you. That was fucking great.
That is awesome.
Harry Houdini actually died on Halloween.
Did he really?
He actually did, yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Mysterious. They don't know exactly what happened to him. The reports and history of that make things very sort of fuzzy. But yeah, he did actually die on that day. Obviously, we all know the Monster Mash.
Yes, we all know the Monster Mash.
How old do you think that song is?
Ooh, the Monster Mash. I remember at one point seeing the original video was in black and white.
It was definitely in black and white.
I want to say it was...
Although it didn't have to be, but it was. That'll give you a time frame there.
I want to say it's 1940 something?
62, actually.
62?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Bobby Boris Pickett's. I mean, and we all know that was a huge hit. Hit number 1 on the charts that year, which tells you how struggling they were for good music back then, something like that. So there's just a couple little facts.
Oh, it fit right in with the music back then, though.
Even now,
it really
man.
Did.
When you hear it around Halloween now, there's always songs that happen around certain holidays. Like you hear that Thriller, obviously.
Thriller, of course.
Right? Werewolves of London.
Yeah.
Like I'm down, right?
The Addams Family.
Right, the Addams Family theme. There's always a few that go along with everything, right?
Right.
And so I did mention earlier that there's about $10 billion spent every year.
Yeah.
Getting back to what I said about, I understand we have a terrible obesity epidemic in this country, and it's not so great in Canada now either. Right. The United States accounts for slightly more than 10% of that worldwide.
That's actually... That actually surprises me because we have such a large population, more than anybody else.
In places where it's celebrated, that's probably true.
Like that's surprising.
Right.
I would expect that number to be way higher.
I would have thought the same thing, actually. Yeah, I don't know if it's the availability of mass-produced costumes and candies and things. The less travel you got, there's probably some factors that factor into that. There's also probably countries that I don't realize celebrate Halloween because in my head, I assume like, a lot of Asian countries don't. I'm sure a lot of African countries don't. They probably don't do it everywhere in Europe. Like, I don't know for sure, but I assume maybe it's much more popular than I think it is. So,
very true.
Right. The only thing that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to say is, we talked about, flexing on your neighbors and full-size candy and all that. I do like a small, fun-size candy bar. When you were young, did your school hand out the little fold-up boxes to get pennies for charity?
No.
Okay, so this was a big thing when I was young in Canada. I wish I could remember.
For patients.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was like a children's charity or something. It had but they handed out it was just a sheet of cardboard. You folded it up. You had a little box about the size of what donut holes would come in. Yeah. Little slot on it. Collect pennies, go in, give those back to the school or whatever. Yeah. I remember that ended up almost every house, but not every, when I grew up, had a bowl of candy and a bowl of pennies. So if you were carrying that with you, one hand, throw some in my bag, and also pennies. Like the only drag with it was, everybody give you a handful of pennies, whatever they felt like taking the patience to slip through the little slot or whatever. You'd have to drop that thing off. As a kid, you didn't want to be carrying 4 pounds of pennies, right? Like you had to kind of take that back home. Okay, where did I leave off? Like, okay, I gotta go back to this. It added a lot of extra walking around. Yeah. I recall not taking it a bunch of times. And I'm sure it's happened to other parents where they just filled it up with their own pennies the next day or whatever. I'm gonna take that to the school. I got so many pennies. It's fine. Like, don't even worry about that.
We ain't dealing with that shit.
I know they probably don't do it anymore in Canada, but I think. And we'll get the fact checker involved here to be sure. I don't believe they use pennies in Canada anymore. I think you can bring them into places, but I don't think when they give you change back out, they give you pennies anymore. I think nickel is the smallest denomination they fuck around with now.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, again, I'm sure it's still valuable currency, but the same way we don't have $2 bills here anymore. But
yeah, we do.
When do you ever see them?
Recycling centers.
Fair enough. All right. I'll give you that, buddy. I'll give you that. But as a general day-to-day currency, you're getting 2 1s back. No cash registers have 2s, right? Like,
no businesses.
Yeah,
stock them,
in the same way, I think. Yeah, I think they've gotten rid of that. So that might have kind of killed that whole thing in Canada. But that was always part of it when I was a kid, right?
Yep.
Now you talked about taking little kids around. I used to be sort of judgy in a way when Halloween would come around, and I'd see a whole bunch of houses dark.
Yeah.
Closed up, no lights on, like, you cheap fucks. Now, as an adult, with a little better perspective, it has dawned on me, like, oh, they were probably taking their kids out to go trick-or-treating, right? Like, obviously, there'd be houses where a spouse would be like, no, you go ahead and take the kids out. I'll hand candy out. I don't want to walk around in the cold or whatever. Like, that probably happened too. Yep. But I'm sure a lot of families wanted to go as a group and take the kids out. So I find myself less judgy about that as I get older. I want to presume, all right, you're out trick-or-treating yourself. Like, I get it.
And there's some people that just don't want to deal with it. I mean, let's just face the honest.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, some people just suck, right?
Like, some people are just fucking assholes, or
don't have the money to spend $40 on candy, or Right. I'm trying to be less judgy, but you know what I mean?
Right. And there's some people that like it might be just a horrible holiday for them.
The timing, yes. Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
You know, who knows? I'm not going to judge, but I mean, if you're home and you're not giving out candy, I mean, get your life right.
Right. So that's exactly it, right? So another quick fact here. We're just going to throw facts out as we go. 78% of the people, so let's say 3/4, a little more, right? Of the people who are consumers for Halloween, 3/4 of those people, decorations are some part of that spending.
Oh, and that's a big chunk of that fucking spending. And that's
a big chunk of that spending. That's why that average is so high. Yep. Many people just buy a bag of candy or two, $20, $30, and you're good.
Right.
But the averages drive up to all the gigantic ones that you see, right? Like,
and I feel bad about that because I'm one of those people that are, I say it every year and I do it. I say it with good intention of, oh, well, I'll just get the Halloween decorations on sale
after Halloween.
After, you know, when they do hit the sale rack and stuff like that. And I never do.
I do the same thing. I think a lot of people have the intention of doing that. I would like to decorate more. I don't decorate for Halloween. I have 3 little bent over what look like witch's hat that you can put a tea light into, that I have some remote control battery operated one just to light up my walkway a little bit. I don't, and we always carve a jack-o'-lantern. Right? Like at least one. So there's that. But it brings me off to yet another side note. I recall people when I was young filling those with concrete because kids would come up and boot them and smash them and throw them around and stuff. I never actually came across one myself. I don't know if it's an urban legend or not, but you always used to hear that. And I wondered when I was a kid, did they just say that to scare like kids from coming up and smashing them?
I tell you what, a kid kicks a fucking chunk of concrete that big, that's going to hurt.
That's a broken foot probably. That's a toe or two, right? Like,
and they kind of deserve it for being a dick.
Right. Again, though, like not to get off a two-sided tangent here. I mean, I'd have to think there's no real liability there. You're welcome to fill your jack-o'-lantern up with whatever you want. Like
it's on your property. If they damage your property, good. And they break their foot.
Yeah.
Then that's on them.
You definitely hate your neighbor for that, right? Yeah. Your kid comes home, like even if your kid was being a shit, there's still something to be said for, well, what do you care if you bust your fucking jack-o'-lantern? It's going to rot in 3 days and squirrels will be eating it anyway. Like
it's called preventing dicky people. It goes back to my one fucking rule in my house is don't be a dick. Treat people with respect. Treat people's property with respect. Don't fuck with people.
Try to be a good person, right? It's all you can do.
Be a good fucking human. If we can't teach our kids how to be decent people, then when they're out on their own or they're with a group of friends, the universe is going to teach them how to be decent people.
Well,
and that's where that ties into.
It brings me to a decent people conversation as this episode goes on here. I have a small issue, and the irony of that statement is not lost on me, when someone brings like a baby in a stroller. That kid ain't eating little chocolate bars, and they shouldn't be.
No, you're right, dude. Okay.
There's an age limit. There's an obvious age limit high and low about where you're like, really?
Right. If I always like seeing the teenagers right at their peak. Like, that this is going to be the last year that they're having a good time with their friends and stuff.
They push the limit a little. Like, you're a little big and your costume's a little lack effort.
Right.
But you showed up late and I want to get rid of candy. So, all right.
There you go.
Fuck it. Right. Yeah, like, I'll give you a handful of candy.
But then you're on the other end of that and you're right. Like, when a parent brings their kid up in a stroller, you just kind of got to look at them and be like, why don't you just come to the door? Because this is what this is for.
I would respect you more. Right? Like, we wanted to get the kid out for a walk, and we got them into, like, there is the cuteness factor of a new-ish parent who wants to put their little kid in their cute little Halloween outfit and parade them around like, oh, look how cute our kid is.
Those are fucking Instagram parents.
That's what I mean. That's an Instagram parent now, right? But it happened before Instagram.
Well, it did.
Even when I was younger, you saw that sometimes. Yeah. It's certainly more prevalent now, right?
Right.
I've got a great, and I shouldn't say great, I don't know the people at all. I have what I find an entertaining neighbor that lives 15 houses up the street who every holiday, and I think their baby was born about a year ago, maybe a little more, give or take now. Every holiday, they're outside. They've got a display of that holiday set up in the yard. The baby dressed up in an appropriate outfit and taking photos for the social medias and Christmas cards and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I mean everything, right? Easter, Thanksgiving, Halloween, like all of them. Every
Yep.
time they made up some little fancy thing and put the baby sitting down. Like it can probably stand by now, but I mean, I'm telling you, like a little kid, right?
Right.
Yeah, I would almost respect those parents more if they did just come up and go, hey, I was out for a walk and like, can I have a piece of candy? Like, yeah, man, have a piece of candy. Like, I don't give a shit, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, you do see a lot of that. So it's, that age bracket is, and then, I mean, occasionally you get somebody who's obviously too old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen some late teenagers, maybe even pushing the envelope of the 20s, out with a couple of buddies just looking to score candy. And then those are the Halloween costumes that are pathetic, like when we were kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is something I didn't even have on my list here, but it just dawned on me. The availability now, fairly inexpensively most time, you can also spend a bunch of bucks of a cool costume versus when you'd have your parents making you one or something real basic. The old plastic masks that were just brutal. Like how many times I was dressed up like the Hulk or a fireman with a cheap plastic hat, and like what's basically a poncho that's sort of got the print of a fire or a cowboy or whatever. Man, like what we had to do as kids sometimes was brutal.
Right. I want to actually take a minute and talk about costumes because I have a real beef with commercialized costumes.
Lay it on me, buddy.
Because I have a house full of girls and it is next to impossible to find a non-slutty version of any fucking costume that you got out there.
The slutty Halloween costume is real prevalent.
And it's teenagers that are wearing these things. Teenage girls. And it's just like, dude, just no.
I think there's something going on. Just maybe it's the area that I live in. I haven't seen much of that in my local neighborhood with the Halloween thing. Now, going out places, certainly. Right. And I know you can hear the crinkling of the papers. I am having a piece of candy, folks.
Yeah, I'm about ready to break into one myself. But the deal is that as parents, we're faced with this problem of, yes, we want to buy our daughters a cute Halloween outfit. And as they're, 10, 11, 12, stuff like that. Then we have to modify it, almost buy a second costume to modify it so that she doesn't look like a fucking hooker. Like,
you definitely don't want your kid going out in some of the outfits that they sell. That's for sure.
It's freaking horrible. And it's such a bad deal. And it's a little different where we're at because Halloween it's a cooler day holiday that you're trying to go. Like, there's some that it's fucking cold.
Well,
so
listen, man, let me side tangent on this, okay? It's one of the things about since I've moved to the States, I hear about this and I've heard about it for years and years ongoing.
Almond Joy's got no.
Yes, I like an Almond Joy. That's what I had too, buddy. We're going to talk about that in a minute here. Man, there, you finally fucked me and made me forget what I was going to say.
You're fucking welcome.
Damn it. What was I talking about?
No.
Thanks a
Costumes.
lot, buddy. It'll come back to me.
Commercialized costumes.
Nope. Fucking lost it. All right, moving on, folks. That happens. So since we're having them here, man, I'm going to give you a minute to chew on what you had there, but I was going to bring up the statistics. What were your favorite and least favorite Halloween candies growing up? So I'll give you a chance here because I know you're still chewing. I'm a small Snickers and Reese's Peanut Butter Cup guy till the day I die. They're my favorites. But statistically, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Kit Kats, and small Snickers are the most popular with kids polled.
Okay.
Right? Obviously, we all know the least popular ones. You don't see too many of them so much anymore. Obviously, everybody hated candy corn.
Oh, I still can't stand candy corn, man.
Right? Candy corn.
My wife loves it.
Some people do, right? Like, when I was a kid, weird. I'd get desperate at some point and have it. I've actually got an interesting story about candy corn here in a minute, if you think there can possibly be an interesting story about candy corn.
Okay.
It's coming up, kids. But yeah, the favorites of people have been almost the same for 30 years.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it's because those companies are always really good about making sure they pump out their actual small, fun-size multi-packs around Halloween as part of their marketing campaign.
Yep.
But there was also something that I've never brought up here before. What are real quick description by you. What are Smarties in the United States when it comes to Halloween candy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're the little circular discs. That,
chalky, shitty.
yep,
come
they
in
come
a
in a little foil
wrapped
plastic.
up on the end, right? Yeah,
Yep.
so that's your Smarties.
Yep.
Smarties in Canada are a totally different candy.
Really?
They are similar visually and in packaging to an M&M, but the coating tastes different. The chocolate inside tastes different.
Okay.
And they have an S on them, obviously, instead of M's and M's and W's, right?
Okay.
It's one of the old Halloween jokes.
Yep.
Threw away all the W's. Blonde only got to eat half her M&M's. But yeah, so when I was first living here, I know it's a different holiday. I told my wife, she's like, well, what are you putting in stocking up there? I'm like, oh, we always got, usually got batteries and a pair of socks, and you got like a chocolate orange, and like, oh, you usually got like a box of Smarties. She went out and got a bunch of those, real proud of herself, found Smarties at the store, and it wasn't the wrong ones. I had to suffer through a chalky group of those over a couple of days just to try to, and then I finally worked up the nerve the next year to go, by the way, Smarties in Canada, totally different thing. Don't fuck buy those pieces of shit anymore.
Right. Right.
It's not good.
Right. My favorite Halloween candies were always the caramel cubes.
Oh, wow. That's on my bottom list. Keep going.
I love caramel.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites. And Laffy Taffy is also another one that's on my list. And fucking Skittles. Just like plain Jane Skittles.
Really?
Yeah, the little packages of Skittles, because can't eat too many of them because they get a little...
It's a lot, right? Yeah.
But having the mini chunks of Skittles, dude.
Listen, I know they're popular with people. I was never a huge fan, but I get it. You like what you like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and honorable mention is an Almond Joy. Like we just had one. I like an Almond Joy. A lot of people don't like coconut.
Almond Joys, I love them.
Yeah, what's the other one that doesn't have it? It's the same thing, but without the almond. Mounds.
Mounds, yeah.
For some reason, shitty. For me. It's the same thing, only just the almond. Something about having an almond in there, they just fucking taste good. Like, I don't know what it is.
Milky Ways. I like myself a Milky Way.
Man, you and I couldn't be different sometimes. I wouldn't... if I found Milky Ways in my, in the bag of multi-candy, the fun sizes, I would probably put that bag back and go find a different one.
Really?
I'm not a big fan at all.
Really?
And then, of course, there's a few that they have in Canada they don't have here. Like, you guys don't have O. Henry's. That's a pretty popular chocolate bar up in Canada.
Okay.
It's real similar to a salted nut roll, but without the salted part, and the center is a different flavor.
It's not a nougat.
It is, but it's not the same. It's similar, but
shittier.
Similar, but not the same, right?
So yeah, those without the salted caramel or without the salted
part. It's a nut coated.
Yeah, so I think it's a weak version of a fucking nut roll.
But they cover them in chocolate.
It doesn't matter.
To a lot of people, it does. Chocolate, anything with chocolate was everything I found about statistics of people's favorites. It didn't matter through age group.
Chocolate's up there.
Chocolate and peanut butter were always huge, right?
Yep.
Those were always big ones on there. So,
God, you can't fucking have peanut butter anymore. All the fucking sissies with peanut allergies.
Hey, listen.
For the love of God, give your baby some fucking peanut butter.
Right. I'm looking in the candy drawer right now. There's a bunch of Reese's peanut butter cups. There's a couple of Reese's pumpkin shaped ones. I personally hate to see any kid who's going to have any sort of allergic reaction. I know a friend of mine, they've been working through, his kid has this nut allergy, and they've been doing things to try to mitigate it and make it better. Yeah. Sorry, don't take your kids out on Halloween, or when you do, make sure you go through every candy and take all that stuff out.
Right.
Not to mention, it's real easy to walk up to the door and go, if it doesn't have peanut, that'd be great.
Yep.
I'm going to think you're a bit of an asshole for putting your kid in that position. But at the same time, that kid should get to enjoy Halloween just because they have an allergy. Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, every piece of candy that's in that bowl is made in the same place.
Some sort of nuts. I bet all of them have an allergy thing right on them. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
the one candy I cannot stand are the fucking marshmallow candies.
Like a marshmallow
pumpkin or the marshmallow trees at Christmas. Dude, that's fucking gross.
It's the Halloween version of a peep. Fuck off with your peeps.
Exactly.
Oh, a sugar-coated marshmallow?
Right.
No, I don't think so.
Come on, man.
But people love it. It's all about where you're interested. So before I forget, I was going to say, and it's not really all that interesting, but the candy corn thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's supposed to look like corn. Candy corn, right?
Right.
The original distributor to that used to call it chicken feed because it looked like corn. You know, right?
Oh, really? Chicken feed.
Illinois chicken feed manufacturers got together and went up against that guy and goes, no.
You can't call it that.
You can't call it that. Had to change it to candy corn.
Gotcha. Do you remember Zots?
No, what's a Zot?
You can still get them. It's this kind of sour bitter, but it has like a center that's soft.
No, man, I don't know.
Oh, dude,
Zots.
they're fucking good.
I'll keep my eye open.
Yeah. You can still get them.
Oh, very
It
good.
was 90s popular.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to look into that one. We'll see if we can find some
side
photos.
tangent.
Yeah, no, side tangent. This is all about side tangents. One last tiny fact here, and we'll just talk about whatever we want to. Pumpkins, fruit, not a vegetable.
Because of the seeds.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and side note here, I promised somebody who knew we were doing this episode for Halloween to release here. Public service announcement. When you're cleaning out the inside of your jack-o'-lanterns before carving and you're scraping and you're going through all the nonsense, put the spoons, put all that stuff away, open up the top of your thing, and get out your hand mixer for doing desserts and breads and whatnot.
Oh, it's great.
And run your hand mixer on the inside. You're done in a minute. Everything just slides right out.
I don't open the top of my pumpkins when I carve them. I open up the bottom.
Whichever nitpicky, split-hairy thing like John just brought up that you
do it
want
right.
to do. All right, we're not even going down that tangent. That pissed me off to no fucking avail.
But you are right. The hand mixer makes it way faster.
The hand mixer makes it way faster, right? Yeah, it's just...
So have you ever taken your pumpkins after you carve them, after they've kind of hung out? Have you ever bought specific pumpkins to bake pumpkin pies and Thanksgiving for?
No, I'm not much of a baker, neither is my spouse. I can understand that being said, right? I have on occasion pulled out the seeds and nostalgically threw them in the oven with some sort of whatever. It's never as great as I remember as a kid.
No, it's not the same, right?
I think the older people when I was young really had that down to a science where they were a great little like snack.
Yeah.
But I could never kind of get it the way I wanted to.
Nope.
But
nope. I've tried everything. I've tried like fucking salting them, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's whatever they did back in the day. They knew what they were up to.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else, buddy. I did want to say, that's right. I was going to tell you about New Orleans. So here, man.
Oh, yes. Please do.
Halloween in New Orleans, the second biggest holiday down there, obviously behind Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, right? Yep. So we're down there for 4 days. We had not coordinating amongst the group, but the spouses and the couples usually coordinated per day. So one day we were dressed up like religiously. Another time we went out and I said I had to look like a skeleton. And I will say my wife's outfit that night might have been one of the hottest she's ever looked. One of her friends painted her face all up like a skeleton where I just like wore a mask. Mm-hmm. It was so great. It was perfect. We saw some of the best and worst things on that trip. There was a bunch of older gals, maybe late 60s. Mm-hmm. A little earlier maybe, who were dressed up like retired Hooters employees. They had the Hooters top on, they had the little shorts on, and then they had taken socks and filled them with sand and hung them around their neck and painted what looked like nipples on the bottom, and they were all hanging out the bottom of their shirts, even though they weren't real. There was 4 of them that did that, were hilarious. We got a bunch of photos with them.
Jesus.
There was we went into a karaoke bar one night, and a dude and 2 young women walked in, and they had both gotten themselves sort of like professionally body painted as 2 of the characters from the X-Men movies.
Okay.
So the blue lady, and then the one who
Mystique.
Mystique, and then the one who can make herself into like Diamond or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So they had done half their upper body in that part, and then kept the other half like natural. The person who did an amazing job, and the dude was he was in good shape. He was dressed up like Wolverine. He had the whole thing, right? I must admit, I even went over to him at one point. I was getting a beer. I'm like, hey man, like you're fucking killing it tonight. Like, couple of beautiful women out. They're dressed up real great. Like, you guys are really getting after it. He goes, yeah, my sisters. Man, you had to know better than that. It's like, you brought that shit on yourself.
Right.
But they did. They were really killing it. I'll give them that. And not to be graphic, we did see a walk of shame after one of the days of a young man dressed up like Bam Bam or one of the people from the Flintstones.
Yeah.
This guy was carrying his shoes in his hand, and his equipment, his manhood at 8:30 in the morning, was hanging out the bottom of his outfit as he walked home. The ladies were the ones to notice, pointed it out to be the dude I was with walking.
You can't unsee it.
You can't unsee that.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
The guy was rocking it with confidence, but yeah, he looked like he had a rough night.
And I'm on the other side of the fence on all of it. Like, you went down, had a great time, and that's awesome. I have never never once been to a Halloween party. Ever in my life.
What?
Never. Nope. I've never attended a Halloween party.
You've never gone to a party dressed up for Halloween?
Nope.
Not even as a younger man?
Nope.
That's crazy talk. Because shout out to Nick, who we've had on the podcast here. He has had a Halloween party or two in the past, definitely one, maybe two, and they often have like a family night where they invite some close friends and family, and everybody carves a pumpkin and then they judge them.
Yeah.
So he's really big on it. I mean, I'm surprised. We'll get you out to a Halloween party, buddy. Of course, that would require you actually owning a Halloween costume. Unless you'd like to wear this out. You're welcome to borrow this anytime you want.
I don't even know if I can get this off of me, to be honest.
It's really painted on there, buddy. Again, I was thinner then, and you're a bigger dude compared to me physically. Not fat, just you know what I'm saying.
It's getting hard to breathe, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's all right. We're wrapping this up here anyway. So, folks, we said we were going to try to lean this towards construction today, and it comes to find out that we just can't.
No, man. Halloween is a fantastic holiday. It's fun.
Right.
I enjoyed it with my kids. I will share the video or share the pictures of the very last time I took my daughter out.
Oh, yeah, sure. That'd be great.
I have a picture of me and her dressed up because that was the agreement. If she went, I had to dress up.
Right. We might do some live videos of the kids coming this year and just get them up there too as we go. Because I'm lucky in my neighborhood. We get a real good mix of excellent costumes here. Yeah. People who really, really made the effort. Yeah. And
so do we.
I just remembered what I was going to say earlier that I forgot. Thank God. I would have hated myself if I hadn't remembered. We were talking about decorations.
Yes.
I'm going to put either the video or the link up on our Instagram for Halloween.
Our
buddy Crispy. One too, right? But our buddy Crispy, who's here, his son, Nick, who lives in Florida, he and his partner go all out.
Yeah, they go batshit crazy.
Every year, and it is fantastic. If they ever listen, Nick, Jeff, please keep doing it. I look forward to seeing the video every year. I'm going to put it up on socials and hopefully get you some clicks. It's really great what they do.
Right. Share it to the Instagram for I saw, and then we'll share
get
that
it out to everybody. Yeah, we're going to, because that one is really, really amazing. What they do, the time and effort it takes, and maybe that other one that I just sent you. Just a little preface: it's a guy who just puts the caption on the top of the post saying the homeowners association didn't specifically say not to use flames or lasers, and it's a really great video. It's a bit long, but we'll put that up there as well for everybody to enjoy. So if you are taking your kids out tonight or you're going out to a party yourselves, have a safe and happy Halloween. Sorry we couldn't run this to construction, but sometimes we're just going to sit around and talk shit about stuff.
Right.
So I'm going to go in for another candy here. Please check out the I Shower After Work website. That is the place, as we've mentioned, that you can go and sign up to be a guest. We would love to have you on. Don't be nervous. We'd be happy to see you. It only takes a minute to fill out that form. Click Want to Be a Guest right on the front page. Yep. And right beside that is also our Buy Us a Beer app. If you want to help us out and support this little podcast, we'd sure appreciate it. You can click right on there. Leads you right through. It's a beer at a time. We'd be really happy for any support anyone wants to give.
Absolutely.
Am I missing anything, my friend?
No, just rate, review, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing.
Please do. Yeah, we take any feedback and any information. Send us some shots for your sites. Hey, send us some of your Halloween outfits. We'd love to put them up on socials here as well.
Absolutely. We'd love to see.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Again, it wasn't about construction, but here we are. We made it to the end. Have a, again, safe and happy Halloween. Thank you for listening. And even though it's not construction related, your work still keeps the world working. So have fun out there.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Launch, everybody.